From LALATE headquarters in Santa Monica, this is Afternoons LALATE.
It's a big afternoon of Afternoons LALATE with big updates about your fourth stimulus check of 2021 with a major exclusive breaking developing detail. A number one aide of a congressional staff tells a viewer of this channel that LALATE and the Purple Hawks have now become a key ingredient for the passage of your $3.5 trillion recon. I'll go over the breaking exclusive details happening this weekend. This is a major event, and this is unfolding by the minute. Then we'll go over all these incredible clusters of checks that passed. $3.5 trillion of checks passed in a House subcommittee a week ago. Cluster number one's checks passed, two's checks passed, and three's clusters passed as well. Checks for seniors, checks for workers, checks for adults, checks for hazard pay, homes, cars, bikes, and more. We'll go over all the incredible details of these checks. We'll be cutting over to third stimulus that has an additional cash infusion of $13 billion going out to your city, counties, and states. This is for rent. And the nonprofits. We'll go over how the nonprofits have stepped up and paid viewers big sums of money this week alone, and how you can get this money as well. But then we'll be cutting back to that breaking world exclusive as a number one congressional staff and its top aide to a number one guy in your recon process says this channel is now a key ingredient for the passage of your recon. Because of what? Because of this channel and you and your advocacy. I'll have all the great details. It's all unfolding. This is major, and this is exclusive, and this is LALATE. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're having a beautiful day across the planet, wherever you are. It's a beautiful day here in Santa Monica, and thank you for joining me. But a major congressional developing detail. It's a world exclusive, and you're only going to hear it on this channel. I'll be cutting to it just in a second. But all throughout the night, all throughout the evening, Congress working and passed a $3.5 trillion recon passed. $3.5 trillion of checks passed in a subcommittee of the House, the Budget Subcommittee. Meantime, what did the president say this last week? Three major wins for the progressives. As number one, the vote on the infrastructure halted on Thursday, halted on a Friday, and then on a Saturday, the president saying no vote, not happening until you're on board with the recon. And what is it going to take to get moderate Democrats on board with the recon? The world exclusive you're only here on this channel, as an aide to one of the number one important persons in the entire congressional battle for your recon, says this channel and these viewers and my advocacy for you has now become a key ingredient for getting your recon passed. I'll go over all the incredible details unfolding today. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record for a reason. Last week, on a Saturday, your House passed your $3.5 trillion recon budget bill, and no broadcast media covered it, no print media covered it, no YouTube channel covered it. Over the last week, the details of these incredible checks in this recon not even covered on broadcast media. Today alone, broadcast media not even using the name recon, changing the name interchangeably, and often never even covering the recon, only covering the infrastructure. That's why this channel has become such a key ingredient, and I'll go over all the incredible details. But first, subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Barrel Casino VIP. In this recording, first we're going to go over the passage of those clusters. Number 1, 2, and 3's clusters we're going to go over in this video. Then we'll be cutting into the IRS monthly stimulus checks. Then we'll be cutting to what is Congress doing and the breaking world exclusive that is unfolding right now, as this channel is now a key ingredient for the passage of your recon. Then we'll be cutting over to third stimulus, and we'll be coming back over to the recap. First, a congressional budget committee, the House Budget Committee, passes your $3.5 trillion recon 2 Saturdays ago. This is huge. Cluster number one's checks passed, two's checks passed, and three's checks passed as well. I'm going to go over all these clusters, and we're going to start with the first one right now. Wow. Hazard pay, money for seniors, money for children, money for the home, money for college students, and then bikes, cars, and vehicles as well. Passed. First, hazard pay. This is huge. They got hazard pay in there by expanding the earned income tax credit, an old tax code, making it more eligible for more essential workers, and then broadening the amount of money. There's a big win for this channel because this channel was the biggest place for advocacy for hazard pay, with no less than 300 to 500 videos in 2020. Then Representative Richard Neal got in the expansion of a wonderful item. This is up to $4,000 a year for caring for elderly people at home, up to $4,000 for caring for young children at home as well. Then they got money in there also for the big money for repairs of the home. If you live in a low-income community, they have money in there to repair the home. Then they got the CTC credit expanded. Wow, the child tax credit expanded. $51,000 a child. Huge. How does this work? First, they broaden the eligibility, so now it qualifies for more parents, including non-biological parents, and then they broaden the amount of money. How much? Up to $300 every month, every year, for up to 18 years that family is a low-income household. That's $51,000 per child. Then they got money in there for college students, grants to the university, grants to the student, and also making the Pell Grant tax-free. Boy, but we're not done there yet. They got bikes, cars, and trucks in there as well. Up to 15% for the purchase price of a new electric bike. Up to $7,500 for the purchase of a new electric vehicle for personal use. A little bit more for business use. And then also an electric truck. All electric and all U.S. auto manufacturers. In a second, we'll go over cluster number 2, cluster number 3, and then those IRS monthly stimulus checks, and then the breaking world exclusive you're going to hear only on this channel. But first, let's turn to third stimulus for just a blink of an eye. Third stimulus got additional cash infusion a week and a half ago from Treasury. Treasury sent out the final $13 billion for rent and utilities. This is huge. And in California here today, they're actually running advertisements to apply for that rent. This is across the country. Red, blue, rich, poor, every state's getting this money. Not just one state. And Treasury's happy to provide the state and local governments with additional resources to help Americans' time of rental assistance. All right, let's cut to the second cluster of checks. They got those in there, and these are huge. And there's 12 of them. First, paid family leave, paid medical leave. Family leave, you have to stay home because your wife is pregnant. Medical leave, you have to stay home because your son broke his leg. Remember, forced stimulus recon has nothing to do with COVID. It's just life in general. These are lifetime programs. They're not COVID-ish programs. How much does it pay? Well, under third stimulus, it was $1,700 a week if you make $70,000 or more per year. Split in half. Let's say you make $35,000 a year. That would be $800 a week. Split in half. Let's say you make $15,000 a year, $400 a week. They got other checks in there as well. They got checks for childcare programs, checks for household tax credits, checks for dental, vision, hearing care, including Medicare eligibility, and checks for seniors. Then they got checks for weatherizing your home. I love this. Weatherizing your home. Definitely needed if the moderate Democrats are on the roof. If the moderate Democrats are on the roof, always remember, don't let them in the house. Don't let the moderate Democrats in the House, Nancy. Lock the door. Then they got universal pre-kindergarten. They got tuition-free community college. Definitely need that free community college to take that very popular class called What the World is LATE? It's a very popular class. There's always a Sunday where someone says, you look sort of red because I'm wearing a red shirt. The red shirt makes the face look red, makes the set look red. It's just Red Sunday. It's tiger red. So yeah, that's what you would learn in the first class of that tuition-free community college class called What the World is L18 and Why is he so red? Then we got green energy checks because, you know, the green and the red. Christmas, very good. In the second one, we cut into the third cluster of checks. But what is Congress doing? Well, this is what Congress is doing. The president has instructed that no vote on the roads and bridges, aka the infrastructure, aka the bipartisan, will be happening anytime soon. A huge win for the progressives. This week, you had 3 major wins for the progressives. I had told you it doesn't really matter if the roads and bridges passes on Thursday, but if it doesn't pass, it's a huge win for your recon. And the progressives, remember, the progressives are protecting your recon. The progressives on the Senate side include Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Chuck Schumer, Chris Coons, Bob Casey. On the House side, they are, of course, Jolapal. She's the chair of the Progressive Caucus. Sheila Sheila Brown is the vice chair of the Progressive Caucus, and then they also include Omar and also AOC. Well, what happened? The progressives blocked the vote on a Thursday because they had no less than at least 60 progressives to vote down the roads and bridges. Then they blocked the vote on Friday. Then on Saturday, then on Friday afternoon, the president said to congressional members, there will be no vote on the roads and bridges until we have an agreement on both bodies of legislation. This is a huge win because this is what the president had promised the American people, had promised the progressives, and had promised legislators back in July. We originally had one bill, and that one bill included both the recon and the bipartisan. He split it in half for the sake of the moderate Democrats, but said at the time it's splitting it into two separate bills. We're going to do two together, not two separate. We're going to do two together. They both must land on my desk at the same time. I'm not going to sign one, and they both must be voted at the same time. In the month of July, the Goth gang, led by Gothenheimer on the House side, moderate Democrats, tried and hustled Nancy Pelosi to call the vote on the roads and bridges only on that Thursday. She agreed, unfortunately, and that's what the president did on Friday. He said, I don't care what Nancy made the agreement about. I'm overriding the agreement. There will be no vote on the roads and bridges until we have an agreement on the recon. Wow, this is huge. I'll go more about this later in this video. And the big exclusive you're only hearing on this channel coming up later in this video. Stay the final 15 minutes of this video. We have a lot coming up. But first, let's turn to that third cluster of checks, and they are deliciousness. These are the president's checks, and they are huge. They got checks in there for seniors and workers. Let's go over them. We have checks for free school meals for all, checks for cheaper prescription, checks for free internet, checks for farmers, checks for clean energy, checks for workers like independent contractors, checks for seniors like dental, vision, and hearing care checks. Two of the checks in the third cluster the president particularly likes. I love them because they're automatic paying checks. The first one is cheaper prescription medication. You go to the pharmacist and says, pharmacist, I have a headache. Oh, the moderate Democrats, sir? How'd you know? Could you have a prescription for that? Yeah, vote them out. No, I mean a prescription for it. Oh, yeah, here you go. Take two $20 bills out of your wallet to pay for it. Then this becomes law. Next time you have to refill the prescription, unfortunately, because the moderate Democrats are still there, then you may only have to take out one $20 bill from your wallet. Then they're also going to have free internet. Every city, state, county, red, blue, poor, rich is going to have this money. The federal government is going to give money to them, the cities, county, local, to have free internet companies for you. They'll have the Wi-Fi connection. All I have to do is ask for the username and password. The username, DC Reese. And the password, Goth Gang, go away. There we go. Later in this video, we'll go over all the major breaking developing details. What happened with those meetings with the president, what he actually said on Friday. But first, let's go over that IRS monthly stimulus check. The IRS monthly stimulus check took a fascinating turn for the better this week for several reasons. One, Sanders' office twice, actually three times. Chuck Schumer's office, AOC, Jalopal, and Omar's office reconfirmed to viewers this channel they are fighting to include a monthly stimulus check in the fourth stimulus recon, and that they will be putting it in there. This is after they were telling viewers, no less than 1,000 viewers this channel, before last Saturday, before the passage of the $3.5 trillion recon budget, that they would be doing as well. Here's what you need to know, is that Saturday, when they passed the $3.5 trillion recon budget, Nancy Pelosi came out, and so did the president, came out and said, this recon that passed is not a bill. It's a framework of what could be added to. It's sort of like an envelope, as I show as one of my wonderful props. Bill envelope, not bill, because you can put stuff in the envelope. And Nancy said, if you have stuff you want to put in there, put it in there. And that's ironically what Nancy had said going into the weekend. She had told viewers this channel, at least her staff had told viewers this channel, she'll be inserting in there. So did Senators Coons, Sanders, Warren, Casey, Sanders. And then over on the House side, Omar, Jalopal, AOC, Pelosi, and others, telling viewers this channel they're inserting it. Always future tense, but I'm going to have more about this later in this video. And then here's a preview of the world exclusive coming up later in this video. The number one person in the equation, a chief aide to that person, to that legislator, tells viewers of this channel that this channel is now a key ingredient for getting your recon passed. Oh boy, I have all the incredible details coming up after the commercial break. But first, here's a little bit about rent, utilities, food, and internet. I want you to get it because it's available. It's third stimulus. Here it is. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues right now from afternoons LALATE, direct from Santa Monica, California. Unfortunately, the heat came back. I don't know what's going on. It was brutally hot yesterday. It's a little bit hot today. This is very rare in late in October for LA, but hope the weather is good where you are. In the second half of this video, we'll go over the big developing details. We'll go over what the president said in that big, massive meeting about the recon on Friday, what the president said Saturday about the recon, what Pelosi said about the recon, and you're also going to learn about what staffers are now saying about this channel and the recon. Oh boy, yes. We'll go over all the incredible details of third stimulus, and then we'll be cutting back to what's happening this week. But that and more, and also that IRS monthly stimulus check, we're just getting started, and this is LALATE, so subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. For a reason, this channel is a transformative channel, a revolutionary channel where things are being made because of this channel. This is the channel that got Americans a second stimulus check by my idea to insert a stimulus check into CR. My idea to insert a stimulus check in the CR got that second stimulus check out the door, and I'm going to tell you what's going on right now. So subscribe, like the video, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power at Calcino VIP. The exciting, surprising details unfolded on Friday, but manifested themselves over the weekend. And for the first time ever, I'm showing you a massive exclusive. In a major exclusive, I can now report to you that an aide for Bernie Sanders' office now reports this channel is transformative for the passage of the fourth stimulus recon. That the channel is now a key ingredient for helping pass the fourth stimulus recon. Let me explain to you what's going on. If you look at the scope of broadcast media, even today, they don't use a consistent term to refer to the recon. Sometimes they call it spending. Sometimes they call it social reform. They're consistently changing the terminology of it, and they're never covering it broadly. In fact, several legislators have slammed broadcast media for covering the infrastructure extensively, but rarely covering the recon. As you see, this channel covers the recon in incredible depth. But it was several weeks ago, actually upwards of 8 weeks ago, where I told viewers of this channel, that if you picked up the phone and advocated for the inclusion of stimulus checks, IRS stimulus checks, in this fourth stimulus recon, if you advocated for the passage of this recon, then your stories, your details of why your life, your family, your community, your church, your town needs it, would be a transformative event to help pass the recon. I told you at the time that senators, are not a lot of them, and they all work and live in the same vicinity, and they talk all the time, and that they're going to hear your messages one at a time. That if you flood their phones on one office's then the other office is going to hear the same thing because they're going to say, I'm getting the same phone calls. Are you getting those phone calls from LA's viewers? I'm getting the phone calls from LA's viewers. And I said, ultimately, it's going to spread very quickly. Well, that's what happened. A major aide for Bernie Sanders' staff in D.C. reports to a viewer of this channel that this channel is now a key ingredient for helping pass the recon. Why? Because one, I'm getting out the message about what is in the recon. Number two, that I'm showing Americans the incredible detail and the wonderful social services and spending that is in the recon, giving you incredible details of why this is good, why this is great, and why you want to get behind the recon. And number three, because I'm helping getting you to advocate for the inclusion of the recon. The issue is the pushback from the moderate Democrats that are saying, I don't know if Americans really want this. We don't know. I'm talking the voice of moderate Democrats. I don't know if Americans really want these things. Have we heard from the Americans, the American people, that they want to hear from these things? Yes. The progressive Democrats are now reportedly logging the input coming from LA's viewers. Bernie Sanders' staff is reportedly now logging your messages, whether they're voicemails, emails, or communications with staffers, explaining why you need it. And they're using that as indication during the negotiations as why the American people support the recon. As we go into a new week, the negotiations are underway for the recon. And the pushback from the moderate Democrats is maybe Americans don't really want it. The response is, look at LATE's viewers. LATE is the biggest channel of its kind in America, with the most viewers of its kind and the biggest social media platform of its kind. And its viewers are flooding the telephone systems of congressional leaders, senators, and House members for 8 weeks, on the hour, by the hour, advocating for the inclusion of a stimulus check. Are you going to turn off all those viewers and say, I'm not going to help them? Is that really what you as a moderate Democrat want you to do? And that is exactly what I said would happen, and it's what's happening. This channel has now become reportedly a transformative channel for the passage of your recon. That is now a key ingredient to help get that recon passed because you have become the face of the American people. Now, especially, I want to speak out specifically to 2 states. You know exactly which states I'm going to say. If you're a viewer of West Virginia and you're a viewer of Arizona, I need to have you speak up. I need you to speak up and advocate just like all the other viewers from other states are speaking up. The reason why this advocacy is working on this channel is because people understand that LATE is a nonpartisan channel. It's a news broadcast channel. And I'm asking people to advocate. I'm asking for viewers who are Republican to advocate. I'm asking for people who are Democrats to advocate. I'm asking for people who are independents to advocate. And you're all advocating. I have Republicans, I have Democrats, I have red states, I have blue states. We have all different types of states. But key 2 states for you to speak up especially are Arizona viewers and West Virginia viewers. Why? Let's go over one of the comments that came in reaction to the president's meetings on Friday. Ben Tulchin, a Democratic pollster who has previously worked with Bernie Sanders, actually, said that I was hoping Biden would have learned from the lessons from Obama, which is you have to fight for this recon. You can't just negotiate with Kyrsten Sinema. You have to go to war. That's what it is. Such a fight would have involved going to Arizona and West Virginia and sending the message to its residents, you support this, tell your senators you support it as well. Well, I'm going to do that fight for them. If you're a viewer of Arizona, if you're a viewer of West Virginia, speak up and say why you need it. Send that message and advocate for it. We'll go over more about your advocacy in a second. Now let's cut over to the developing details about that IRS monthly stimulus check, and then we'll go over what happened with the president as well. First, let's go over what happened with the IRS. Let's go over those IRS monthly stimulus checks. It was 8 weeks ago where I said to viewers, pick up the phone and advocate for the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check, and you did. WR picked up the phone and called it. Senator Chris Coons, Democrat, Delaware, advocated for the inclusion of a monthly stimulus check. And Coons' office said yes. Coons is one of Biden's oldest confidants. Then 3 weeks ago, you saw this channel really take off. You saw how this channel started to change quickly. Number one, I started delivering a lot of exclusives For example, I was reporting that exclusively the legislation would be written up by the House subcommittee, budget subcommittee, and that's exactly what happened. Sheila Jackson, she is the vice chair and was also part of writing that legislation with Jalapal in that budget committee. And she spoke about it yesterday, saying we worked all that Saturday night to get it done. Number two, I told you that the House would vote first, Senate voted second. And I told you that Bernie Sanders is key to the ingredients because he's the guy that got the $3.5 trillion price tag. He went into the negotiations asking for $7 trillion. He split in half of the $3.5 trillion, just cutting the number of years, not cutting the programs. I'll explain more about that later in this video. But that 3 weeks ago, Bernie Sanders told the American people that unlike prior budget chairmen on the Senate, I like to get out amongst the people when I'm doing a budget bill. I said, if you listen to those key words, he wants to hear from you. Advocate. And I said, pick up the phone and advocate. That was 3 weeks ago. And Brother Joshua did, Lynn Glenn and Margaret did that week. Advocate for the inclusion of a stimulus check. Now, what does advocacy look like if you've never done advocacy before? Advocacy involves you saying why you need something. I need a stimulus check because this is what's going on with my family. My mom, my daughter, my uncle. This is what's going on with my town, my business, my church, my community, my city. And I got to tell you why I need it. We saw the face of advocacy really take a great shape about 7 days ago. Here's a screen grab from viewers' comments in the live chat and also on social media private messaging to me. Here's what Margaret did in advocacy. She said, honestly, when I was on the phone with a woman in the Senate office, when I started crying, when I started explaining everything I've been through. Another viewer explained her advocacy. I told her I lost my husband. He died during the pandemic. I've had 10 surgeries since his passing, and I'm having to raise 2 teenage daughters. That's the face of advocacy, and that's what Brother Joshua did 3 weeks ago. Picked up the phone and called Bernie Sanders' office, said, I need it. My church needs it. My community needs it. The Purple Power needs it. LALATE's viewers need it. He's a 2020 volunteer to the community page that got viewers hundreds of thousands of dollars for rent and utilities in the middle of the pandemic in fall of 2020. And Sanders' office told Brother Joshua, yes, $1,000 or $1,300, 3 to 6 months. And at that time, Sanders' office also said the same sentence that's really at issue today with that exclusive. Sanders' office told Brother Joshua, but Sanders' office needs to hear you say that you support him in advocating for it. Same messaging as today. Clearly, the messaging then is still the same messaging today, that the advocacy is indicated by this channel and the breadth and the magnitude of this channel and your advocacy. I said, pick up the phone and advocate, and you certainly did. Over the next 3 weeks, over 1,000 viewers this channel that garners millions and millions of views and millions of social media commentary on an hourly and daily basis really was heard. Let's go over some of the comments that started coming in from viewers after they made the phone calls. This is what Donnie wrote. Donnie writes, I called Bernie Sanders and his secretary said they're doing a forced stimulus check. I said, this is what my city needs. I need it for my water and everything. And they said they're doing it. Hurricane Tina writes, I called Bernie Sanders' office. I said they need to put it in there. She advocated for the inclusion of the stimulus check, and they said they're putting it in there. Then Caroline advocated. She writes, I told them we're losing our homes and we're losing what we got, and they agreed they're putting a forced stimulus check in there. Purple Power, Yaya called up Ron Wyden's office and advocated for the inclusion, and staffer said yes. Also SS200. Then we learned from Will the importance of picking up not one phone call, but 3 phone calls. He did 3 in one day. He called Bernie, Chuck, and Liz Warren's phones in the same day. And all 3 of their secretaries confirmed, he writes, Will, the inclusion of stimulus check. When Warren's office asked him what he likes, he said, I like the American petition, which is $2,000 a month. And Warren's office said, yes, she wants to do $1,600 to $2,000, 6 to 12 months. Then Lorica picked up the phone, called Bob Casey's office, and Bob Casey's office and advocated to it. And Bob Casey's office said, yes, there are negotiations for it right now. At that point, we had senator after senator, including that monthly stimulus check after your advocacy. Offices of Coons, Sanders, Warren, Schumer, Casey, and Wyden were flooded by your phone calls. And I said, now time to flood the phone offices of AOC, Jalapal, Omar, Sheila Jackson, and Pelosi. And you did. Paul picked up the phone and called AOC. And AOC's office said, after he advocated for the inclusion, yes, she's doing it. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter. Jalopal's office, the same. This is what Janice wrote. Jalopal's office said they're doing a forced stimulus check. And the messages kept on coming on in as Mark advocated for the inclusion, calling up Nancy Pelosi's office and them saying, yes, she's going to add it in there. $2,000 the first month, $1,000 thereafter, 6 to 12 months. Messages kept on coming on in left and right. And the message was the same. Negotiations are near complete. That it's multiple months of checks and $1,000 the first month, $1,000 a month after the first month of $2,000. What has happened is that advocacy has really made it a transformative event. As you have now seen, what I had reported 4 weeks ago is coming to life now. 4 weeks ago, I had reported to you that you need to, well, 8 weeks ago, I had reported to you, you need to pick up the phone and advocate. 3 weeks ago, I had told you that Bernie Sanders' office said he needed to hear from you. And now you're hearing the same messaging, that now the progressives, Warren, Sanders, Wyden, on the Senate side, Schumer, and then over on the House side, AOC, Omar, Jalopal, Jackson, and Pelosi, have now been flooded with your phone calls, which you need to continue, advocating for a stimulus check, and now they're saying to moderates, listen, do you see LATE's viewers? We're getting thousands and thousands of phone calls. These people are advocating their hearts out. How can you turn away from them and not give them a recon? And that is what's happening. This week alone, Chuck Schumer's office telling Donnie's wife, you just met Donnie's wife on a Wednesday, he's inserting it. Bernie Sanders' office telling 3 viewers, he's inserting it. Advocacy starts here and continues here. So pick up the phone and advocate across the board. And if you are from a West Virginia state, and if you are from an Arizona state, and you want these provisions included as well, pick up the phone and advocate to Bernie Sanders, Liz Warren, Chuck Schumer, AOC, Omar, Sheila Jackson, Jalopal. They need to hear from you. All right, let's go over what happened then with this voting process. What the president said about your recon on Friday, what the president said about the recon yesterday, Saturday, and everything you need to know. 3 major wins for the progressives. Back in July, the president had one bill, which he now says he wrote. It was one bill that had roads and bridges and recon together. And the moderate Democrats approached the president and said, you know what? It's too big, split it in half. So to make that concession, the president agreed with the moderates to split it into 2 different bodies of legislation. Roads and bridges on the left, also called infrastructure, also called bipartisan, and the recon on the right. The president's agreement and statement at the time is that you have to give me both bodies of legislation on my desk at the Oval Office. I won't sign one. I have to have both. You have to call them for a vote at the same time. Then, as the weeks transpired thereafter, the moderate Democrats didn't keep their promise, as Liz Warren slammed them just this week. The moderate Democrats trying to only call the vote on the roads and bridges and trying not to support the recon. And they, with the Goth gang, Gothenheimer on the House side, the New Jersey Democrat, got Nancy Pelosi, after basically ambushing her, to agree to call the roads and bridges on this Thursday. And she kept her promise, saying, I will call the vote on Thursday. Well, going into the Thursday vote, the moderate Democrats really didn't look good. They didn't look good across the board. Number one, they had not kept their promise about the debt ceiling limit, causing Pelosi to slam them on Tuesday. Number two, they had not kept their promise to do both the recon and the bipartisan, only talking about the bipartisan. In fact, the president called the moderate Democrats into meetings saying, what are you doing with the recon? They would not answer the question. Number 3, the moderates kept on slamming and personally slamming and really below the belt slamming the progressives, calling them a fringe group, calling them very small, calling them not caring, really just personal attacks. Then Joe Manchin really just did a low ball that blew up in his face, publishing a document claiming that Chuck Schumer agreed to a $1.5 trillion recon, which he never did, and claiming that that recon showed that what we were going to be doing, which was never an agreement. It just blew up. And so what happened? Going into that Wednesday night, the Progressive Caucus, led by Jalopal as the chair and Sheila Jackson as the vice chair, had polled their progressives in the House to say, are you going to vote in favor of the recon? 60 of them said no in polling them. Remember, Pelosi only has a 3 Democratic lead in the House, so she can't lose 3 votes. She certainly can't lose 60 to pass a bill. And 60 said no. But on Thursday morning, another moderate Democrat publication came out slamming the recon, causing Jalopal to say, well, we're going to probably have more than 60 now down votes tonight. Bernie Sanders, Liz Warren, both telling in public statements the progressives on the House side, because remember, Bernie and Liz are on the Senate side, to vote down the recon, vote down the roads and bridges that Thursday night. So by 9 p.m., the progressives had a Zoom call, reassuring they were going to vote it down, potentially 60 to 100 votes against the infrastructure. 9 o'clock, the vote is not called by Nancy Pelosi. 9:30, a very peculiar event occurs when the president calls Bernie Sanders, Chuck Schumer, Brian Deasy, and Kristen Sinema into chambers for Schumer to try to get the progressives to change their position to vote down. No concession. Out comes Bernie Sanders, and also Jalopal then announces that the progressives will not be changing their position about the roads and bridges unless the moderate Democrats vote in favor of the recon. Well, 10 o'clock comes along, and no vote on the roads and bridges. It falls apart. We're told by Steny Hoyer, the number 2 guy in the Democratic House, that the vote would be a Friday. Well, I go into Friday morning recording to you. I don't think the vote is going to pass again because I think the progressives are even more aligned to vote it down on a Friday than they were on Thursday. Number 2 win comes from the progressives, as it cannot be called for a vote on Friday. Then the president calls progressives, House members, House and Senate Democrats across the board into meetings. All House Democrats, all Senate Democrats into meetings. What does he say? There will be no vote ever on the roads and bridges until the moderate Democrats come on board with the recon. Wow. He basically stepped in and protected Pelosi because Pelosi had been put in this bind to continually think that she has to call the vote on something that's going to fail. He said, I'm telling you now, I'm going to step over. I made a promise. They have to both be voted on. They have to both be passed. You're trying to just do one. You ain't going to do that with me. Wow. Now, this is great news. Here are the comments the president said. I wrote the damn bill. Even a small bill makes historic investments. I know a little bit about the legislative process. He basically said that he will block, that progressives will block the infrastructure, and it's not going to pass until you have an agreement on the recon. And the reaction was mixed. Democrats came out and said they appreciate the president's work, but it was a tough situation for both sides. But as you saw with that Ben Tolchin comment earlier, is that Biden has taken a very soft hand to the situation. Let me explain a couple things then that happened on Saturday, what's happening now, and what's happening this week. Number one, the president said, exiting on the South Wing, I think, of the White House. I always forget which was the South Wing. I think it's the South Wing. That there is no timeline. There is absolutely no timeline as to when to get this done. So that's great news. He does not want to hear people saying it's done on the day, this day, or that day. Number two, he also said that there is no firm anything about anything. So a lot of people, and even broadcast media, even one of the number 3 networks this morning, got the story wrong again. Basically saying the president instructed the progressives to do anything. He didn't instruct anyone to do anything at any price tag. Here's what you need to know, is that the progressives have done nothing wrong. The progressives took a bill written by the president, according to his own words, with a price tag the president came up with, and protected it every single day from the spring all the way to the present. And it is not their position or place to be trash talked by the moderate Democrats. It's the moderate Democrats who have done everything wrong. And yet they have somehow been able to try to sort of play up to the media as they are the darlings. They did not keep their promise about the debt ceiling limit. They did not keep their promise about the 2-bill process going at the same time. And now they're trying to say the recon is horrible. Or the recon is this, the recon is that, or the progressives are horrible, they're horrible. It's just not good. I think at one point the president is going to have to realize that there is a major, major push among the American citizens, evidenced by LALATE, that Americans want the recon. A new poll released by Associated Press today, not National Enquirer, not the throwaway at the newsstand. Associated Press shows the president's approval rating since July among independents has dropped from 68% to 38%. You remember what July is. Yeah. Calendar Colleen knows what July was. This is why it's critical. The president needs to hear from LALATE. The president needs to hear from the viewers of LALATE that Americans want the recon. Too much attention on the roads and bridges, too much negativity towards the progressives. It is the progressives that have instituted what the president wants, and we need to get it over the finish line. And as Tolchin says, you have to go to Virginia. You have to West Virginia. You have to go to Arizona and advocate for these items. All right, let's cut out the third stimulus. Oh boy, I'm going to do third stimulus very quickly because we're running late. First, it raised your. It raised your back. We're going to cut over to third stimulus as fast as we can. We got 5 minutes to go. Here we go. I want you to get this rent, utilities, food, and internet and mortgage assistance. Get that pen and paper ready and cell phone ready because there's a lot of money that's going out across the board. When we talk about the rent, I'm going to show you 6 places to reach out to. Reach out to all 6. Then, listen to the keywords I say in this video, then lean on the nonprofits. All right, here are the 6 places you can get this money for rent from. City Hall, City House Authority. County Hall, County House Authority, State Hall, and State House Authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, rent or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. Now, I want you, if you're a member of this channel, which I hope you are, read the newsletter, which comes out Monday through Friday. In there, I now include the Treasury statement explaining the $13 billion. Every place has this money coming to it. Red, blue, rich, and poor states. They may not have it today. Maybe they have it tomorrow. Ask to be on a waiting list. Asked to be able to call back tomorrow to check if they have that money. Next, reach out to all your utility companies. If you have 5, reach out to all 5. Remember, utility assistance because of COVID. Then, the nonprofits. Lean on the nonprofits. Here are the 5 nonprofits: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. The nonprofits pay for all the same items that third stimulus covers, like rent, utilities, mortgage assistance, but they do different eligibility. So if you're one of those people who says, you know what, I've tried your 6 places on the government side, I can't find anything, then lean on the nonprofits. Next, the nonprofits also pay for items the federal government doesn't have under third stimulus, like refrigerators. Yes, 2 viewers got refrigerators in the last week. A new furnace, 1 viewer got, and also a window fix. They often provide money for homeless people into shelters, money for clothing, sometimes food, and yes, sometimes small appliances. So lean on those nonprofits. Here are the 5 nonprofits again: United Way, Salvation Army, Community Action, Catholic Charities, and St. Vincent de Paul. They're also featured in the newsletter to members daily. What's also important to understand with the nonprofits is that the turnaround time is huge. St. Vincent de Paul and United Way have been praised by viewers with quick turnaround times with rent in the last week. All right, SNAP. Everyone's benefits for SNAP are going up an average of 25%, lifetime automatically starting October. I know you got that September letter, says it's stepping down. There's an October letter. Everyone's benefits are going up starting this month. This is huge. And yes, watch that second letter. Then finally, those unemployment benefits. 2 types. First, the refund check back from your state, and then the IRS refund check. First, if you're overpaid due to computer error from your state, you're getting back money. Average payment is about $2,000 to $5,000. And then from IRS, if you pay 2020 tax return taxes on the unemployment benefits, you're getting a refund on that. It's about $1,000 to $2,200. Lynn Glenn got it. Gail got it. Margaret got it. And if you got any sums of money from this channel, post it in the live chat. Finally, if you haven't become a member, please do. The link is under the video. Members are delivered daily from me to them a breakdown of all the big money on a first, second, and third stimulus in a newsletter that comes out written by me, sent via the YouTube alert system for members and the LALATE alert system at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday through Friday. The newsletter details all the big money on the first, second, and third stimulus. It will also feature all the big money for you to get on the fourth and fifth when they become law. It's important to make 2 promises to yourself. Number 1, actually 3 promises. Number 1, I want you to advocate. Pick up the phone and advocate to everyone I'm telling you about in this recording. Number 2, I want you to get as much money as you can for third stimulus, rent, utilities, food, as far into 2022 as possible. Why? Because this money may not be repeated in the fourth stimulus. Get as much money as you can. Number 3, lean on the nonprofits. The nonprofits are not getting a lot of phone calls. It was 80-something degrees yesterday here in LA. I was not liking it. It was really hot. As it remains hot in some parts of the country, the nonprofits are just not getting a lot of calls at the moment. When it becomes cold, When it becomes winter, their phone banks are flooded. You want to call now because quick turnaround times are happening. They're very responsive and very quick on getting people assistance. Get as much money as you can. And with that, let's circle back to everything you need to know going into a big evening. Wow. So the president is trying to find a common ground for the recon and the bipartisan. And that common ground he particularly doesn't know. He admits he doesn't know where the common ground is. The progressives' Sheila Jackson, the vice chair, had a brilliant interview yesterday. And one of the things I want to end on, which is a brilliant way of how she explained it, is that the recon is made up of a lot of different programs. As we talk about IRS stimulus checks, that's a program. As we talk about money for bikes and cars and vehicles, that's a program. What she says is that there will be agreement with the progressives if the moderates agree to all the programs. We're not throwing out a program. That's a brilliant way of how she said it. We're not throwing out a program. For example, we're not throwing out the $4,000 to care for the elderly. We're not throwing out the money for the bike. We're not throwing them out. But she explained it brilliantly in saying that House members that are on staff, and some of them are not even elected officials, they're staffers, are very, very educated and trained to calculate how a change of a tax code that collects more taxes from corporations that are not paying their fair share right now and billionaires can offset a program like a bike or an IRS stimulus check. And that if they want to modify something here or there on a number, they can still get the program funded in a different way. So what she says is that we're not throwing out programs. Progressives during these negotiations will not be throwing out a program. We still must have the full loaf, was her exact word. Brilliantly well said. Here's another way to look at it, is that you have a program, let's say the bikes, 15%. You can modify how you do the bikes, but still do the bikes. And she said, we're not getting rid of the bikes. We'll just change how we pay for the bikes in a different way. So maybe it doesn't cost as much money to the federal government, but you still, the American citizen, still get the same benefit for the bike. The other way that can be done that she didn't talk about, but I know it because Bernie Sanders talked about it in July, is that Bernie Sanders says, I came in asking for $7 trillion, I walked out with $3.5 trillion. He didn't split the money in half. He didn't say, okay, instead of 30% for the bike, I'm going to give you 15% for the bike. No. That's not what he did. He changed the time horizon. So instead of 10 years, instead of 20 years, we're doing it 10 years. Instead of 30 years, we're doing it for this number of years. They shortened the time horizon, meaning that the money you get as the American citizen stays the same. It's just the horizon. It wouldn't be 2 decades, it would be 10 years. Same situation and same approach as Sheila Jackson played yesterday. The programs are not getting removed. Nothing is getting removed during these negotiations from the progressives. It's how it's paid for, which is a very, very sort of complicated calculation. Where's Larry Kudlow? Calculation about how to pay for it, that they get it modified. But ultimately, the programs are still going to be done. She said, if any moderate says, I'm not going to give you the program, I'm not going to give you the bike, I'm not going to give you the care for the elderly, then there's no deal. I love that. And I love that too. So advocate, pick up the phone and call and advocate. I need it. My family needs it. Say you're from LA, you're an LA viewer. I need a stimulus check. Call Bernie Sanders' office and advocate. Say, I'm an LA viewer. I need a stimulus check. My family needs it. My community needs it. Remember, you're not there to treat people like a tracking tool. You're there to say why you need things. Make everything a very personal, professional, and respectful conversation. Think about, before you call, what's unique about your situation, because everyone has a unique story. Everyone has a unique family situation or a unique community situation, unique business situation. Think about how you're going to explain it, if you're going to leave a voicemail, if you're going to email, if you're going to talk to staffer. Call Bernie, call Liz Warren, call Chuck Schumer, call multiple offices, call AOC, call Jalopal, call Sheila Jackson, call the vice chair, Sheila Jackson, the chair, Jalopal, AOC, Omar, and Pelosi. Call as many as you can and identify yourself with LA. Get the message out loud and clear, because this is becoming a transformative event, And this is a big day. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. Coming up next is Overnight's Crypto. Then we go into Evening's LA tonight at 5 o'clock. So subscribe. Also, like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Purple Hawk, Purple Power, Calcino VIP. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.